Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. MC-Mura here, and in today's video we're gonna be talking all about Akira and how you can use her in this season of Street Fighter V. So let's get started. So what type of character is Akira? In my opinion, Akira is a neutral based character with a strong rush down once she got her opponent to the corner. In many ways she is similar to Karen. You will be doing a lot of pokes, a lot of whiff punishes, and the game plan is very similar overall in my opinion. Let's start first talking about her highlights. What is she really good at? And I think one of the first noticeable things is her damage output. This is a 1-bar combo, did 280 damage grounded without a jump in. That is really high, and the high damage is more noticeable on light attacks. For example, this is a light combo, this did 180 damage. That is very high for Street Fighter V standard, and if you have the V skill too, you can get even more with a light confirm. This was almost 180 and started from a 3-frame crouching light punch. That is fantastic. You have already seen that you have an uppercut, which means that if the opponent happened to jump in on you, this uppercut is a very good anti-air, and obviously you can use it to cross cut as well. She does have a crouching heavy punch, which is a good anti-air. She does have an air throw, so the skies are pretty much protected. Regardless of how your opponent jumps in on you, you should have an anti-air option that will be able to anti-air them. That is nice. One of the other very powerful aspects of Akira is her corner carry, and this is pretty much thanks to this move, the EX Urarimon. This combos from everything, even her crouching light punch. Right, notice this was a 3-hit. This attack leads to Oki when you happen to land it. Right, you can immediately be in a throw mix-up situation, and it's very easy to introduce in juggle as well. Like you hit him with anything, EX Urarimon, and now you're in the corner. Now this attack is also ridiculous to just throw out in the neutral because it's very fast and it's -2 on block. In many ways this is very similar to a Urian EX shoulder tackle, if you are aware with that, right? One of the other most powerful elements to Akira is that most of her corner combos leads to immense Oki situations. So for example, if we did a V skill 2 combo, right, something like this, you get a wicked mix up here. This jump was a cross up, like as she was landing, and you can do the same thing and stay from the front. Right, so this is very powerful. If you happen to land an uppercut in the corner, you can go for a very powerful meaty situation afterwards. So let's do this. Meaty with the EX fireball or the heavy fireball, and now you got them as well. So her corner pressure is immense. One of the other things that make her corner pressure very powerful is that she have, in my opinion, the best offensive V reversal in Street Fighter V. So if your opponent happen to do something, you V reversal them. Notice Akira is point blank, right? And then you get to throw them afterwards. So the V reversal is very powerful, and the Oki on combos is very powerful once she gets the opponent to the corner. Now, what are her issues? Where does Akira start to struggle? And I think one of the main issues with Akira is that she doesn't have a medium kick, a Karen or a Kami medium kick style poke. This medium kick is nowhere near as long, doesn't lead to that much, so you'll have to rely a lot on her heavies. Attacks like the standing heavy kick, the forward heavy punch, these are your best mid-range pokes. Right? Now the issue with these is that they are really negative on block. If you notice this, the standing heavy kick, this is -6, and forward heavy punch is -5. The issue here is that characters who are really good at punishing, such as Ken or Chun-Li, they will be able to punish you for this consistently, right? So for example here, if we set Ken to do his heavy punch uppercut, right, you're gonna get punished. So she's even, most of the characters have like heavy kick style attacks that are -4. Because she is at -6, she's even easier to punish. Now this can be mitigated if you have V-Trigger 2. V-Trigger 2 can kinda like mitigate this issue and you will be able to block. But it's still, we will get to V-Triggers later, but I don't think this is a good enough solution in my opinion, because this V-Trigger lack utility otherwise. So the heavies being too punishable is an issue. The other issue with Akira is her fireballs and how she can deal with fireballs. If the opponent is throwing a fireball, like let's say here Ken is throwing a fireball, it's very difficult for her to buzz through. She can kinda clash with her fireball, but you don't really get much here. You're pretty much resetting the neutral. She does have a heavy kick uppercut, and this can go through fireballs from a big range, right? The issue with it is that Akira doesn't get in. So I used my heavy punch or heavy kick uppercut, I went through the fireball, but notice this, we're still very far away from the opponent. So many times Akira player will tell you Akira struggle versus fireballs, and then non-Akira players will say, oh man, no, she have a heavy kick uppercut. But notice this, I'm not any closer to Ken. I got the hit, I did 120 damage, and that is pretty nice, but I'm still ways away from Ken, right? I didn't get in. It's not like a Kami EX spiral arrow that will let you get into the opponent. So in many ways, fireball matchups are difficult for Akira. For them, you will be forced to use your V skill 1. And if you happen to have the V skill 1 charged, you can use the EX fireball, and this can beat the fireballs like that, but you have to use that preemptively. It's not something that you can do on reaction. So the fireballs or zoning in general is an issue for Akira, but once she is able to get close to her opponent, she can apply her very strong pressure and still be able to manage. So let's start first by talking about the character normals as we always do, and we will start with the crouching light punch. This is Akira's 3 frame. Having a 3 frame means that you have a good chance at interrupting the opponent fake block string, right? Here for example Reed is doing a fake string, and crouching light punch as a 3 frame makes it easier to interrupt this. Notice it's saying that it's +6 on a counter hit, which means that Akira get to combo into her mediums, so you actually can get some decent follow-ups here if you happen to counter hit the opponent on the interruption. That aspect of it is great. Now another thing to note is that it is +2 on block. This is very good as well. This normal obviously can be used as a tech throw, so you can use it and throw the opponent after. And because it is +2, here we will set Ryu to mash his 3 frame, right? Because it's +2, you actually still get to throw him as well, right? So that is really good. It's a tech throw that will work against everyone. Now, because it is +2 as well, it means that it's very good for frame traps. It will frame trap into the standing medium punch, into itself, and into the standing light punch, right? Which means that it's a viable frame trap. It's a viable frame trap that you can use, either throw the opponent after or simply go for the medium, and you have a powerful frame trap either way. Now, this seems fantastic on block, this seems fantastic on interruption. What is it like on hit? It's also great, because you can combo 2 of them into light Urarimon, you can combo it into the heavy kick Tatsu if they are standing, you can combo it into the DB, and you can go crouching light punch into crouching light punch, standing light punch, and standing light punch have a target combo associated with it, so you can go this route. And notice this was a 3 hit, and then you simply get to follow up after it, cancel into a special move, and go for whatever combo you want. Fantastic all around, it's a great normal. Next up, let's talk about the standing light punch. This is pretty much similar to crouching, but it's 4 frames and have more range, right? So instead of having, it's pretty much a longer crouching light punch, but at the expense of having more range. Like I said, it have a target combo associated with it, which is light punch, medium punch, and it is special cancelable, and it does have a follow-up if you have V skill 2, which will launch the opponent like that, and that is pretty nice, right? So you can get some good damage out of this one. Otherwise, pretty much the same functionality. It's also +2, So you can use it to frame trap into the medium, you can use it and send text roll. It's pretty much the same, just a little bit more range, but is 1 frame slower. Next up we got the standing light kick, and Akira's standing light kick is a really good button to use as a buffer. It's pretty much you use it, and while you are doing it you are buffering a special move. Notice this, I did the standing light kick and I immediately did the EX Tatsu. And if it happened on whiff like that, nothing comes out. If the opponent happened to run into it, you get this follow up and you get a ton of damage. So this is one of her main buffer tools. Because it's a light attacks, it's very easy to buffer and have like very little whiff recovery, so you're not gonna get punished for throwing it out like that. So standing light punch is a fantastic move to use for buffers. It's one of the main tools that you're gonna be using as a neutral. Think of attacks like G always buffering his jabs or his standing light kick. This is pretty much the same idea. Do it and buffer into Ixatsu, do it, buffer into Ixatsu. Right? Some things that you wanna get comfortable doing. And finally we have the crouching light punch. This is pretty long actually, and it combos into her crouching light punch, so that is decent. But otherwise it's a generic crouching light punch. You will not be doing it that much, and it's just a tool to shake the opponent walking low. It is +1, and that is pretty important because it means that it will frame trap into her crouching light punch, right? So this is a frame trap actually, right? You can get some frame traps like that. So it is good. Being +1 means that it's good, and obviously on a hit you will get the crouching light punch, so you can get a conversion like that. Nothing too special, but certainly noticeable. So let's now talk about Akira's medium attacks. We'll start first with the standing medium punch, and this is a 5 frame medium. This is really good because it means that if the opponent is at a -2 advantage or you are +2, this will frame trap 3 frame, and that is gonna be the primary usage, right? You use it as the second hit in a block string. Notice this, here Ryu is matching his jab, so you will use it, it will counter hit them, you will have a +6 advantage, which means that you can then do whatever follow up you want. On a counter hit it will combo into itself, and it will combo into a crouching medium punch, but the standing medium have more range, so I will recommend going that route, right? And like you've seen, you actually get some decent follow-ups here. Now, it can also frame trap into itself, right? So you can use it for pressure, but notice that it have a lot of pushback on block. So even if you happen to get it to frame trap into itself, right, you're not really getting that much. Like you're gonna have the +6, but you're far away to get another one. So I don't recommend going that route. What I would recommend is using it after jabs, after light punch or standing light punch, crouching or standing. That is the frame trap to go. And obviously you can use crouching medium punch into it, right, and you will be at the +6 advantage. So that is also a viable combo route, or a viable route for block sequence. And on combos, crouching medium and standing medium punch, this is the main combo route, right? This is the main combo route of Akira, and obviously you get to then special cancel it into a special move and keep it going from there. It's a very straightforward normal, not really a lot of hidden potential for it. Next up we have the crouching medium punch, and Akira's crouching medium punch is pretty interesting because it's a 6 frame medium and it is +3 on block. This is really nice because it will frame trap into itself and it doesn't have that much pushback, and when it frame traps into itself, Akira's gonna be +8, so then she can get a crouching medium kick, right? And that is nice because you can get a confirm like that one and get some good counter hit combo damage from there. That's actually pretty good. Now because it is +3 and it is 6 frames, so decently fast, it makes it the best normal to use in situations where you wanna walk up pressure, right? So it's good to use it like that, and maybe walk up and throw the opponent, or walk up and do another one. It is good for that kind of usage because it gives you the most plus frames. Now you can use it as a buffer as well, so if Ryu is dashing in on you, you can use it and buffer moves from it. That is a viable usage, but I have to say that I do prefer the standing light kick to it, simply because standing light kick is faster and have less recovery on whiff, and it is longer. Notice the crouching medium punch will whiff, standing light kick will connect. Right. So standing light kick is the premier buffer in my opinion. If you are gonna be buffering a lot with Akira, standing light kick is the way to go over her mediums. It does have more range than both of her mediums. Next up we have the standing medium kick. And standing medium kick for Akira is a pretty weird attack. Notice here it was -2 on block, and it's not really like a Karen or a Kami style standing medium kick. It hits upward, which means that you can use it as an anti-air. So if the opponent is jumping in on you can use that to anti-air the opponent. I mean, I guess that's fine, but obviously you have the crouching heavy punch and you have an uppercut, so you don't really need to use it that way. The interesting usage of this attack is the reward on hit. It's the reward on hit more than anything. One of the special things about Akira is that she has a lot of specials that will interact differently based on if the opponent is standing or crouching. So for example, the heavy kick Tatsu, this will only hit a standing opponent. If they are crouching, this whiffs over their head, right? And similarly, the medium punch Yurarimon, the elbow, this leaves Akira at a +3 advantage. On a crouching opponent, you will be in range to get the crouching light punch, but on a standing opponent, you won't, right? So the idea of the standing medium kick is that it forces a stand. Notice here Ryu is crouching. After I do it, it gets Ryu to stand up, which means that he can combo a crouching light punch. Akira is +3, right? And you combo a crouching light punch, they are standing, so you get the heavy kick Tatsu. Right? So the idea of this attack is that if you are from this range, you do it, hope that it connects, it forces your opponent to stand, and then you get to land this big combo. And if the opponent happens to block everything, but let's say here Ryu is gonna guard all, it is -2 anyway, so it's not risky. So from this range, you're not really getting pressure afterwards, but it's a high reward hit, right? That is pretty much all there is to it. And finally we have the crouching or the forward medium kick. This is pretty much an overhit, and it does have a target combo associated with it, which is medium kick into a heavy kick. And that is a decent attack. Now the thing about it is that you can't really frame trap or stagger the hits to force a frame trap, right? Obviously the overhead by itself is +7 or -7, and it does have good range. Notice this for an overhead, it actually does have really big range. And but yeah, like you can't stagger and get the second hit to like counter hit if the opponent tries to interrupt. It's pretty much a block string, and the second hit will leave you very unsafe at -12. But if you happen to land the hit, it is actually a quite rewarding overhit. You will get like around 114 damage, so that is not bad. So let's now talk about Akira's heavy attacks, starting first with her crouching heavy punch. From the animation alone, you can tell that this is an anti-air, and it is a pretty decent anti-air for far jumps. If the opponent is jumping in on you, it is reliable, and you can special cancel it into the heavy fireball. When this happens, the heavy fireball will hit as a meaty, and then obviously you can follow up with a combo if they happen to be hit, right? So that is pretty good damage, and obviously if they happen to block on landing, you are gonna be plus on block anyway. So it's an anti-air that sets up a situation afterwards, and that is pretty nice. Now one of the special things about the crouching heavy punch is that it forces a stand, right? Notice here Ryu stood up, which means that you get a heavy kick Tatsu, and this makes it a good attack to use after jumping. So if you happen to land jumping, force a stand, and bam, go for a combo, 300 damage with no bar. That's pretty good, that's really nice. Now what's even better about this is that it combo on a counter hits from a crouching medium. So let's say we knock down Ryu, we did a meaty crouching medium, it happened to land as a counter hit, we are +8, so this will be a 2-hit combo, force a stand, and bam, get your right elbow in the corner, EXTP, 330 damage, fantastic. Because you're gonna be using this a lot as your meaty, having this kind of reward on a counter hit and having the forcing stand is really valuable. Next up, let's talk about the standing heavy punch. And Akira's standing heavy punch is a high reward whiff punish and shimmy tool. The attack itself doesn't have as much range as you would hope, but the reward on hit is great. Obviously, it is special cancelable, so you can cancel it into specials, but more likely than not, you're not gonna be doing this. It does have a couple of target combos attached to it. First of all, you can do heavy punch, forward heavy punch, forward heavy punch. This will knock down. You will not be doing this one that much. What you're most likely gonna be doing is heavy punch, forward heavy punch into V-skill 2, right? Especially if you have obviously V-skill 2, because this is the one that can set up these sort of situations, right? So it is a high reward whiff punish, right? And also this is really good for V-trigger activation. Let's say for example that Ryu here is blocking, especially if you got them in the corner, right? And then you activate. Notice Akira was plus 13, so it is a pretty good attack for V-trigger activation. Whether you are running V-trigger 1 or V-trigger 2, it's a really good V-trigger activation, especially in the corner, because it does leave you at a close distance to the opponent. Now, one of the other really good things about this is that if you have V skill 1, this also have an ender that will let you cancel into a V skill charge, and that will be completely safe. Right? So you do the follow-up and then you get the fireball charge, and notice Akira was plus 2, so even if you happen to land this with the opponent in the corner, right, Akira's plus 2, so you still get to slow your opponent or advance afterward. So a lot of the time with Akira you will be shimmying the opponent while you're shimmying them in the corner, bam bam boom, charge V skill, still go for the Oki. This is the main idea behind this attack. Now obviously it's not very good on block. This attack by itself, the standing heavy punch, is minus 6 on block, so that's bad. And if you commit to any of the follow-ups, you're just gonna be more and more negative. Minus 8, go for the ender, and you're gonna be super negative at minus 16. But the standing heavy punch by itself is special cancelable, so you can cancel it into the fireball and make yourself as safe as possible, right? So that aspect of it is not bad. Next up, let's talk about the heavy kick. And Akira's heavy kick is a poke. It's pretty much her longest range normal. This attack have good range. It is minus 6 on block, but you can kinda space it to be somewhat safe-ish, so that most of the opponent can't punish you. But some character will be able to punish you regardless, which makes some of the matchups like Chun-Li very difficult, because punishing a minus 6 like that for Chun is a cakewalk. So it is a good poke. It is good to use for V-trigger activation, especially with V-trigger 1. It will leave Akira at a plus frame advantage. Notice she was plus 14, and then obviously you get to like mix in a low or whatever, so that is pretty nice. And even if you have the V-trigger 2, it's also very good for that, because you get a follow-up here, right? You do that and you still retain the plus advantage, and if you happen to land the hit, right, you get the follow-up hit anyway. That's not bad, right? So it's a good poke and a good attack in general. And if you happen to land it as a crush counter, it is one of your crush counters. It knocks the opponent down, which means that you can then like dash up and just get close to them. You don't get a double dash. You're negative on a double dash, but at least dash once and walk forward, and you are in a good position. At least you get closer to them anyways. Next up we have Akira's sweep, and Akira's sweep is for the most part pretty standard. It's not an attack that you're gonna be using all that often, to be honest, because crouching medium kick is almost the same range. It's a little bit longer, but yeah, it's not an attack that you're gonna use. Maybe in some wave punish situations, but other than that, it's not that special, right? It is not the fastest, it's just a decent sweep overall. Obviously, if you happen to land the crush counter with it, you get to dash up and push the opponent in the corner. So you get to do that sort of stuff, move them closer to the corner, but yeah, it's not a super special sweep anyway. And most likely, if you are going for V-trigger activation, you will be going for the standing heavy kick, because it's way longer than the sweep or this type of target combo. Yeah? This is primarily the V-trigger activation routes. Now the final attack is gonna be her forward heavy punch, and forward heavy punch for Akira is pretty special. because the forward heavy punch for Akira is a crush counter that is very rewarding, especially if you have the V skill 2, right? With V skill 1, if this happened to land as a crush counter, you pretty much get like a follow-up normal combo here. It sets the opponent in a crouching state, which means that you get a medium punch Yurarimon combo. That is noteworthy, that's important to note. But this is really good if you have V skill 2. Because if you have V skill 2, bam, you get the big launch here and you get the big launch combos. So it's particularly special with V skill 2 on. So let's now talk about Akira's air normals and her V skills. Starting first with the air ones, we have jumping heavy kick and jumping heavy punch. I will use the heavy kick for far range jumps and heavy punch for closer range one. And if you are jumping to cross up the opponent, jumping medium kick is the normal to go. Notice this was plus 9 on hit, which means that you can use it and then combo heavy on landing, right? Here I got a crouching heavy punch, here I got standing heavy punch. This pretty much means that you can easily combo into the max damage combos, right? It's very easy to get stuff like that going, and that is pretty nice for a cross-up. And also she have a jumping medium punch. This will put the opponent in a juggle state, so that is pretty important for air to airs. And obviously like you can land here and juggle an uppercut, or you can cancel it into an aerial fireball. This is not bad as well, but the landing and juggling afterwards is obviously more rewarding. And she does actually have a jumping air throw. This one is pretty important to mention as well. So her aerial moves are alright. You're not supposed to jump that much with Akira anyway. She is more of a grounded character, but these are good options. Now let's take a look at her V skill 1, because V skills is where Akira starts to get pretty complicated and really fun. V skill 1 is a power up state V skill. Notice now her fists are glowing, and this pretty much buffs her next fireball. Regular fireball, for example, the light version, plus 1 on hit. The powered up version is plus 5, right? And the same apply for the medium and the heavy. You can think of it this way: if you happen to land a light powered up fireball, you get to combo light attacks. If you happen to land a powered up medium fireball, you get a medium attack. And if you happen to land a heavy powered up fireball, you get a heavy attack. So this is the light one, you get standing light kick afterwards. Medium one, you get standing medium afterwards. Heavy one, and you get a heavy punch afterwards. This can actually combo, right? And you get the whole thing. And the good thing about these is that you can combo into them from a normal of the above strengths. So for example, after charging one, if I go for a medium punch, I can combo it into the light fireball, right? This is a combo, which means that I can get a follow-up like that. That is pretty important. And if I happen to combo a heavy one, I will get the medium follow-up, which again is also really good. This was 1 bar grounded and we did 340 damage. This is without jumping, so that is very high damage output. Now the frame data on block doesn't actually change. This is important to note. So this is the normal light fireball of -3. Even if we power up, it's gonna be -3 anyway. So they are not very good on block, but on hit they are pretty important. Now this gets pretty dramatic if you start talking about the EX version. Let's show you the hit stuff at first, right? So if I do crouching medium punch into EX fireball, this knocks Chun-Li down, you dash up, you get Oki, did 150 damage, so that is pretty good, right? If you got the charged up version, that was 300 damage, got way more Oki on that one, way more corner carry, did double the damage, and I still get the Oki, right? So the powered up version is way better on hit. The follow up is fantastic. Now this is also a lot more beneficial if you're using it as an anti-fireball tool. So for example, Chun-Li is gonna throw a fireball. If I do my own EX version, right, you have to do it early enough. Notice here I didn't really get in, right? I still am at a further range from Chun-Li. She can back rise and she will be completely safe, right? I can't really pressure her. But after the powered up version, right, now I'm in, now she have to hold it. So the powered up EX version, this is your best anti-fireball tool because of the mix-up and rewards that you get afterwards. Now, one thing that is important to also highlight is that after landing a powered up EX1, you get to charge another V skill, right? The timing on this is pretty tricky, but you can be +2 here, right? So you can still get to apply your pressure. So that is pretty alright. Now, one of the other things that also change is obviously the air versions as well. She have an aerial fireball. Typically, Akira stays in place when doing it. So they are more used for the aerial combos, but if you happen to have the V skill 1, she will goes down like that as she's doing it. And you can use that to mess up with the opponent anti-airs, right? And if you happen to use the heavy one especially, it can land in a situation, notice Akira was +11, which means that you can land and combo after this. Right? So you can kinda use the powered up heavy version as a sort of a dive kick style attack, something to change your jump timing. Now when it comes to the aerial EX fireball, the typical one knocks down, the powered up version puts the opponent in a crumble state. Depending on your distance, how you can follow up after this may differ, but at the very least you're gonna get a heavy punch Yurarimon. Right? Now there is one thing that is important to highlight, and that is that they don't change on block, right? So with the EX is just the same as everyone else, they don't change on block. That is important to understand. Right, so the V skill 1 in general is pretty powerful. One of the major issues with it is how you get to charge it. Like when do you get to charge it? Maybe if the opponent is playing keep away, you can find a time to charge it here. If you ever happen to land one, you can charge it here. And if you happen to ever land Daigo or like the V trigger, you get a free charge as well, and this target combo will give you free charge. These are the times where you can charge it and be completely safe. It's a good V skill and I will highly recommend using it against fireball characters, right? Now if you want to go for the fun V skill, now we're talking about fun time, right? You go for the V skill 2, because V skill 2 for Akira give her this launcher, right? And obviously you can then hold up and Akira will jump upwards with them, and then you can start to freestyle with combos. There is a combo section at the end where you will get to see some of these, right? But typically you can get this launch in two ways. Either you go for a target combo, there is the light punch, medium punch version, and you can press V skill afterwards and this will give you the launch, right? Or you can go for the heavy punch forward heavy punch and this will also give you the launch. Now when you hit the opponent in the air, out of these, right? Typically here you will go for a light kick, medium punch, heavy punch into a pound. Again, there will be a combo section at the end. The idea is that you get a number of hits, then the opponent will be in spin state, right? Notice that Chun-Li is spinning here. I can't pretty much do anything except an EX aerial fireball, but you don't want to get it to this situation to begin with, right? The V skill combos, they take some time to get used to, but I will actually recommend just having few ones, right, and sticking to them as your bread and butter. But that is pretty much the process and how it goes. Now, regarding landing these, they are very powerful if you're in the corner, because in the corner you get to actually add the fireballs as moves. Regularly mid-screen, if you go for V skill combo and try to do a fireball, it will knock Chun-Li away, so it's not very good. But in the corner, You can use these and extend your juggle. Here, for example, we get. Now, this is a very powerful mix-up, and what you want to do here is do a medium punch into heavy punch in the air. Let's put Chun-Li in the corner. Medium punch, once you knock them in the air, medium punch, heavy punch into light punch fireball, and then medium punch into light punch fireball. Medium punch, heavy punch, light fireball, right? Then another medium, and this medium will end the juggle points. Now I can't hit Chun-Li in the air. So what you do is that you cancel into another light, and this will bring Akira upwards a little bit. Then once you land on them, you can switch side which way you want to land. You pretty much get to pilot your landing a little bit here. So it looks something like this. Right, this was a cross up. This was a non-cross up, and this is a very powerful combo. So that's why when you are in the corner, ideally you want to go for the shimmy, right? Like heavy punch forward, heavy punch into the target combo, because this will do a lot of damage and set up the mix-up, so that is very powerful. Raw V skill will do the big launcher, and the big launcher is very powerful, right? Obviously the routes are completely different, but it is really powerful. And there are two main ways to get this big launcher. The first one is that if you happen to land a forward heavy punch as a crush counter, right, you land this and then you get your big launcher, or you combo into Daigo, which is her V-trigger one. Let's bring Chun-Li back to the mid screen. Right, and this is pretty much how you get these big launches, either with Daigo or with the just forward heavy punch as a crush counter. Again, there will be a combo section at the end showing you some of the V skill 2 combos. They will take some practice, and I don't really want to go super in depth into them now, but you know, they are more for combo purposes, and there is a combo section at the end. So let's now talk about Akira's special moves, starting first with her Tatsu kicks. This is obviously the light version, there is a medium version and the heavy version. And you can think of it this way. The heavy version is the best one because it launches the opponent the highest and leaves them closest at least to Akira, which means you get OK. So you always want to include the heavy one in your combos. Now the main issue with it is that the heavy version whiffs on crouching opponents, right? These attacks are Rekka type attacks, so after the initial part, if you press another kick, you will get the second part of the same button that you pressed. So if I did light and then light again, she will do two lights, light, then medium, she will do the medium version, light, then heavy, she will do the heavy version, medium, then light. You get the idea, right? So like I said, you preferably want to get the heavy version. Right? The heavy version is the best, leaves him closest, you get OK. The issue here is that for the most part, you will be whiffing or at least trying to whiff punish with the crouching medium kick. And this means that you will be doing crouching medium kick into light kick Tatsu the most. The issue is that obviously this whiffs on crouching like I've been saying, and it doesn't combo into the medium kick Tatsu. Crouching medium kick into medium kick Tatsu, this is not a two-hit combo. Right? So you are forced to go for the light variant. By that point, you can identify what the opponent is doing, right? So you can go light into light. This will reset the neutral. You're at 0, don't have any advantage. I don't love this route, to be honest. You can go light into medium, and this does give you a knockdown, moves you forward a little bit. You are still plus 12, so you can check with something like standing heavy kick. This one is not too bad. If they are standing and you happen to confirm that they are standing, you can get the heavy variant, and this will put you in a throw situation. This one is good, right? Now, how do I get to combo into the heavy kick Tatsu, you say? Like, let's say the opponent is crouching. How can I get the heavy kick Tatsu? There are two ways. First of all, like I said, Akira have attacks that can force stand, like standing medium kick, right? So after the standing medium kick, Kami is gonna be standing up. Then you can do crouching light punch into the heavy Tatsus, right? And this is a decent way to get that follow up. Or an attacks like crouching heavy punch, this also forces a stand. So these are two attacks that will force the opponent to stand up. Otherwise, you can go from the medium kick tatsu to the heavy tatsu, because the medium one launches the opponent, right? It will not combo from crouching medium kick, but it will combo from her medium punches and the heavy punches, right? This will be a 2-hit, this will be a 2-hit, and this will be a 2-hit. And after that, go from medium to heavy. Now they are closer to you and you get to follow up with your Oki. You're not gonna get juggles, but you will get Oki here, right? So that is actually pretty good. Now, one thing I have to say is that this is not a low. It looks like a low, but it isn't a low. And that is important to note, right? The light kick one, it looks like a sweep, but it's not. The opponent can block the standing just fine. Now, one of the other really important things to note about this attack is that because of the Rekka-like structure, because you can do a follow-up, there is a sort of built-in frame traps with them. Notice the light version is -6, right? Medium is -8, heavy is also unsafe and will completely whiffs on crouching. But you can do a follow-up. The follow-up here is -10, so you might wonder, is it ever worth it to go for a follow-up? And actually sometimes yes. Let's say for example that Cammy will block it and then try to challenge with her jab, right? If I'm doing this, I'm close enough, I'm punished, right? I'm being punished. But because I can do the second follow-up, I can actually even trade with Cammy here, even trade with light attacks, right? And on this trade, I can actually follow up with a combo. So there is a built-in mix-up. Will you do it, won't you do it type of deal, which makes the opponent kinda careful and hesitant of trying to punish it, right? And obviously you can space it like that where it will be harder to punish, and even then crouching medium kick into the tatsu itself have a sort of a built-in frame trap. So this sequence have frame traps options all over the place, which makes it really good for pressure. Now finally, obviously we have the heavy kick variant, and heavy kick is pretty much the best one because it will launch the opponent. After it, you can go for a light punch elbow or the Urarimon, right? And this will lead to an Oki situation, or you can go for a light kick uppercut. This is my personal favorite because you will dash twice, you'll still be plus to throw, and this does more damage. So this is what I would recommend. I know most people do a light punch elbow, but I think light punch uppercut is the best way to go. But obviously the EX Tatsu is massively unsafe on block, right? -7 if Cammy is crouching because the last hit is high, and that is important to note. You're gonna be -20 point blank in her face, and you're gonna eat a big fat combo, so you have to be very careful of that one. Next up, let's talk about Urarimon. And Urarimon is Akira's elbow attack, and obviously like everything else, light, medium and heavy, this is a sort of a dash punch style special, and the strengths will determine the distance traveled, right? Light moves the shortest, medium is middle of the way, and heavy travels really far and knocks the opponent down. Each of them have their uses. Light one is primarily used in juggles, right? After something like this EX Tatsu, you can get a light Urarimon, and this does leave you with enough juggle states to continue. Or if you got her to the corner, for example, you can go for a light one here and still gets to juggle. So light is good for juggle, and it's also good to use out of lights. So you do light into Urarimon, and obviously you can super cancel this, and you can super cancel the Tatsus, by the way. I forgot to mention, but if you do any Tatsu, you can absolutely super cancel these and get a hit confirmed that way, right? The medium Urarimon is gonna be used a lot in combos if you can identify that the opponent is crouching. So let's say that you did a bread and butter, crouching medium into standing medium, notice that Cammy is crouching. Instead of going for the Tatsus, you should go for the medium punch Urarimon. And after that, you're gonna be +3. On a crouching opponent, you get a crouching light punch, which pretty much means that you can either go for a jab into uppercut, you can go for a jab into elbow. My favorite is going for a jab into the EX Urarimon, right? Simply because of the corner carry and Oki that this gets you. If you go for jab into uppercut, you don't get Oki here, the damage is fantastic, but you're not getting much. However, with the EX Urarimon route, a ton of corner carry and fantastic Oki, right? So that is great. Obviously, this is not very good versus standing opponents. You will not be in range to get the crouching light punch, so it is something that you'll have to be careful of. The heavy one is the YOLO one. It's the ones that you might just, you know what, fuck neutral, I'm just gonna do it. It's that type of attack, but it's also really good for whiff punishing. Let's say that Cammy is gonna do her standing medium kick, you happen to whiff punish her with a standing heavy punch, right? What can you cancel into from this range? Because the Tatsus might whiff, right? Depending on the range, the Tatsus might whiff, and that's when you wanna use the heavy Urarimon, because this will punish from really far, still link from very far distances, and give you a good knockdown, right? So it is pretty good in that sort of applications, maybe versus characters like Poison, like Falk, like Cammy, characters with long range, get a whiff punish and bam, heavy punch Urarimon. And even if you wanna throw it YOLO, it's honestly not that bad, right? Like at -4 on block, look at this pushback, like very few characters can actually punish this, and it's honestly not that bad. Like for an attack that knocks down and give Oki, travels this fast and is not a charge special, so you can walk forward and do it, I think that's pretty good. And speaking of pretty good, EX Urarimon is the GOAT. It have a little bit less range than the heavy, it is more of like a mix of the medium and the heavy, but it is -2 on block. And EX Urarimon is just fantastic. This is an all-purpose attack. You buffer anything into EX Urarimon, you get any juggle into EX Urarimon, you just throw it out there, EX Urarimon, it happened to land, fantastic, hey, I got the Oki, it got blocked, you know, who cares, I'm -2, I'm safe anyways, right? Very easy attack to include, and you will be doing a lot of, Urarimon! You'll be doing that all day. It's probably Akira's best moves, and I think it's actually one of the best moves in the game overall. It's truly great. Now let's take a look at her uppercuts, and Akira have obviously light, medium, and heavies, and for anti-air purposes you will be using the light and the medium. So let's say that Cammy is gonna be doing a dive kick, right? Light is reliable, medium is reliable, right? These are good, and you can super cancel them, right? So having an anti-air is where you can anti-air with a dive or anti-air with an uppercut, then go for a super, means that you can get rewarded heavily for anti-airing. That's always good, that's always what you wanna hear, right? And like I showed previously, the heavy one have a ton of range, so you can use this against fireball users. That isn't bad, right? Obviously you don't get Oki afterwards, but that's not bad still, right? And obviously the EX version is fully invincible, so that is your true reversal. EX version is obviously like true reversal. It happened to get blocked, you eat a crush counter, just like all of the other reversals. But it actually it doesn't have that much range. It have the range about the medium. The heavy is the one with fantastic range, but the EX one is more like a medium uppercut, right? So that is important to note. Now let's talk about her fireballs. And fireballs are really good, I think, for a variety of reasons. They can give her a safe super confirm. So let's say that you have super, right? I mean, yeah, you can do that, but this one carries some risks if your opponent happen to block. You can do shoulder, and yes, this also carries some risks, but this is pretty much safe, right? So you can always fish for crouching medium kick into light fireball. You see the hit and then you cancel into super. This is pretty great. And the heavy punch itself into the fireballs have a built-in frame trap as well. Now Cammy will try to interrupt, right? So let's say you do heavy punch. This attack by itself is -6, right? So you can do it and then do the Tatsu, right? Or you can do it and do the light punch fireball, and this is a safe block string. You're -3, but there is pushback, so no one's gonna punish you. But you can use the fireballs sort of kinda like M. Bison's blast special, right? So if you do the heavy punch and then cancel into the medium fireball, this will leave you at a +2 advantage. It will counter hit Cammy trying to interrupt you, and then obviously you get to do another one and get the pressure going. Let's say that Cammy tried to interrupt, like you see, she gets interrupted. So now Cammy will respect us. Cammy will keep blocking. This will give you a way to go heavy into heavy blast or heavy fireball. Will leave you at plus frames, which means that then you get to continue on with your pressure. It's very similar to M. Bison's Psycho Blast in how you can use it, right? Pretty much a tool to steal turn. And that is pretty good, because if you're now talking about normals into walk-up normals, normals into rekas and the built-in frame traps with that, and having the ability to go for a safe block string, or go for a frame trap with the fireballs that is also safe, or go for the overzealous ones that will leave you at a plus on block advantage. You have a lot of variants in how you can apply your block strings, and that is very, very powerful, I think. Now, obviously, these get enhanced on hit with the V-Skill 1, and they will greatly increase the follow-ups and rewards that you can get, because this says that you have it. Kami try to interrupt again. We have the V-Skill powered on, right? Now you get complete follow-ups here that are very damaging. So with V-Skill 1, they are even better on block and on hit, obviously. At least they are better to use for the frame trap sequences. So that is a good part of her pressure game. The EX Fireball is great. It have around like, I would say like 60% of the screen range, like the round start range. The EX Fireball will still hit, knocks them down, and puts you in a situation to dash twice and still get the Oki. So that is pretty nice. And obviously combos from her crouching medium kick as well. Right, so that's pretty good. Obviously, like we showed earlier, if you happen to have the V-Skill 1 on, this gets ridiculous. The damage output you get here is very high if you happen to land this combo. This combo is somewhat technical, it is difficult, it will require a lot of timing from your part to get this, but the damage output is ridiculous. It's like 300 damage from a crouching medium kick and 1 EX bar, so it's more than worth it. And obviously the EX Fireball is fantastic against Fireball users as well. Now what's left is her aerial fireballs, and aerial fireballs for the most part you're gonna be using with V-Skill 2, especially in the corner, and I will say with V-Trigger 1. Obviously in the corner you happen to launch them with this V-Skill, you get to do combos like these where you juggle them with the fireball. That stuff is pretty good. Even with the small launchers, they can be used to set up these like ambiguous situations. So for that stuff, the aerial fireball is great. Another application where the aerial fireball is fantastic is with Daigo, the V-Trigger 1, because let's say that you did standing heavy kick and then Daigo. Here you can dash and then jump over the opponent. Let's have Kami not try to interrupt. Right, and here it can be difficult for Kami to know which side you did, right? Like which side should she block Daigo? That can be difficult. Now you can use the air fireball because they stop Akira's momentum. So you do something like just jump, and then actually she had to block that from the front. If I happen to do it and not do the air fireball, now this is a cross up, right? So it is useful in that sort of application. Now if you have V-Skill 1 on, the aerial fireballs become a lot better, because you can use them as a sort of a dive kick to approach your opponent, change up, pretty much mess up with their anti-air timing. Notice this is immensely plus on block, that was plus 7, and obviously if you happen to land the hit, you can get big combos here. Now there is even another application to the aerial fireball that is really good, and that is simply using them as a shimmy tool, right? Kind of like this. You know how M. Bison does the Yoga Gale, the aerial Yoga Gale? It's kind of the same deal. Regularly this knocks down, so that is fine. That's not great, right? That's just fine. 1 EX bar could be good like for ending rounds, but if you have the V-Skill 1 on, this can be devastating, because this will put the opponent in a crumble state, and they are considered crouching in the state. So you get a punch and then into medium Urarimon, you're gonna be plus 3. Right, that was almost 350 damage, and the beauty of this is that this attack is actually safe on block. Right, you are minus 10, but the pushback here is very difficult for the opponent to punish. So this is actually a pretty good strategy. The regular one, you are completely safe. The V-Skill 1 is a little bit more of risk reward, right? But at least the regular one, you are completely safe on block. But your opponent have to know that you did the V-Skill version. That one is obviously higher risk. So now it's time to check out Big Bro Daigo, that is her V-Trigger 1. V-Trigger 1 for Akira is 2 bars. V-Trigger, when you activate it, she will summon her big brother, that is the Beast Daigo. He will come in, do an attack that will put the opponent in a crumple state, and then they will launch, or they will get launched by his following things that he does. Now this V-Trigger is very powerful because it pretty much forces a mix-up on the opponent. Here for example, if Guile try to V-Reversal, notice this Daigo will come in and hit him anyways. This means that he has to hold my mix-up because this is devastating. Now he's eating a non-scaled full V-Trigger combo or like whatever, right? Because you can get a big conversions out of that. This makes it that the opponent have to pretty much hold your mix-up. So standing heavy kick is a really good activation button, and after that you can go for a crouching medium kick. This is to catch them low. The overhead, the forward medium kick can catch them high. Jump forward, dash into jump forward, you have to block this as cross up, or jump into fireball. This will stop your momentum in the air, and then they pretty much have to block this from the front. So you can have very powerful mix-ups from activating this V-Trigger, and it's even more powerful in the corner. One of the things you will notice is that when you activate it, Daigo is in the foreground where Akira is in the background, which is kinda hiding behind him, right? So that allows you to go for these low overhead mix-ups even if they are reactable, because the visibility is low and your opponent can't really see you that well. This pretty much allow you to get away with it, right? And they more often than not, they will be scared of trying to do anything anyways and not really seeing things very clearly. So for that purposes, I think it's fantastic. One other thing about this V-Trigger that I love a lot is its synergy with Akira's V-Skill. This is one of the main reasons this is my V-Trigger to go. If you happen to get Daigo on hit and you got it to land, you pretty much get a free V-Skill 1 charge and you still get to combo, right? So this is amazing. V-Skill 1 can be difficult to charge otherwise, but Daigo is pretty much a free V-Skill 1, right? That is very powerful. And if you have V-Skill 2, obviously it can be difficult to pick the big launcher, but Daigo also means that you pretty much get a big launcher combo, because you can, after he does his scream, they will fly into the air, and then you can continue the juggle with her V-Skill 1, or V-Skill 2 I mean. Now one of the really cool things that I like to do is dash into them multiple times, because the crumble state lasts so long. So you can actually do multiple dashes and push them towards the corner. And once you got them to the corner, you can then set up aerial V-Skill 2 combos that pretty much ends in some sort of mix-ups. So you do like jumping heavy punch into heavy fireball, medium punch, light fireball, medium punch, heavy punch into light fireball, and this will set up that sort of mix-up situation. So if I'm not gonna kill my opponent with this next hit, this is what I like to do. Push them to the corner, use the V-Skill 2 to land a lot of damage, and still get a follow-up mix-up afterwards, because these mix-ups are actually pretty deadly. One of the other ways that you can use this V-Trigger is using it for ship kills or ship damage in general. Here for example, Guile will EX Flash Kick just after blocking, so this means that if I'm doing any sequence with gaps in it, he will be able to Flash Kick, right? So what we want to do here is do a completely airtight sequence where Guile cannot escape whatsoever. So let's say he's in the corner, you go for a sequence like that one, bam, 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 and take a look at how much ship this actually did. If the opponent is about to die or afraid of ship, this is a great way, and remember, he can't V-reversal. If you try to V-reversal any of this, Daigo will hit him and he will get punished. So using this for ship kills is actually a very good strategy as well. So let's now talk about Akira's V-Trigger 2. And Akira's V-Trigger 2 is pretty interesting, although I will say I personally prefer the V-Trigger 1. V-Trigger 2 for Akira puts her in this stance, and if you press down you can cancel out of it. There is a target combo out of it, and that is kick, punch, kick, right? And this will launch the opponent. After this launch, you can kinda like even mid-screen, juggle with an EX Urarimon, and this will juggle and carry the opponent all the way to another map. There is a punch, punch, punch follow-up, right? And you don't have to commit to the whole thing. So like you can do kick into punch only, don't do the last part, and this will leave you at a +3 advantage. And if Chun-Li is standing, This means that you get this crouching light punch into the EX Tatsu and get the whole thing. The idea of this V trigger is that, and also there is this flash kick type of attack, and this is fireball invincible and is an anti-air. So for example here, if Chun-Li is gonna be doing a fireball, right, you can use this to go through the fireball, get some good damage here, and that is alright. But the issue obviously is that you do have a DP that can do that already, so it's not giving you like a new tool per se, right? Just giving you another version of a tool that you already have. So I don't think this particular back kick is great. I personally don't love this one that much. It's good damage and it looks mad cool, but the reward for it, I don't think the functionality is that great. The main idea of this V-Trigger is that you can convert better out of your far range options or make them safe. So for example, typically standing heavy kick is -6, right? But you can use standing heavy kick and then use the V-Trigger follow-up, and now you're +2, right? Obviously this can whiff if you're not close enough, or let's say that you happen to got this to hit, right? So you did standing heavy kick. Now you got all of this damage from your standing heavy kick, which is impressive. Like, that is actually really good, right? To be able to get this much damage from standing heavy kick, that is pretty great. Another example is using the standing heavy punch into forward heavy punch. Typically this leaves Akira at -8, but if you did this, now you're +2, and now you get to walk forward and throw the opponent, or you simply just go for the cancel and make yourself safe. The same thing for the forward heavy punch. So pretty much all of your big moves, all of the heavies that you are forced to use in the neutral because you don't have a good medium poke, this V-Trigger gives you more advantage, combos on hit, and rewards on block if you happen to do them. If you're close enough, this kick, now you're +2, or like the back punch and cancel and now you're safe, that sort of deal. And with that in mind, I do think this is okay, but I don't like it as a comeback factor. I think the raw potential of V-Trigger 1 being able to force mix-ups is a lot better. At least that is my opinion. Now, one of the other things with this V-Trigger is that it doesn't have much synergy with the rest of her toolkit. Like, sure, it's pretty cool, it's pretty fantastic, but like you can't really use it that well in conjunction with her V-Skill. So maybe the idea here is that you are supposed to like hit confirm into V-Skill, or if it happened to get blocked, you go for this V-Trigger. That is as much synergy as you can get, but when you compare it to the functionality of getting Daigo, getting the Crumble, getting the V-Skill 2 launch, or getting a free V-Skill 1 launch, I do think that's a lot better. The replacement here is you doing something like, let's say we activated, right? And then you build your V-Skill here, that's -5. But the previous one, you got the combo, it's a single time use, you use it and then you're immediately building V-Bar. I just think it's a lot better, synergizes with his V-Skill more. This one is not bad. Like, it's easy to see what you're supposed to do with it, and it's not a bad V-Trigger by any means, but I do think V-Trigger 1 is the way to go, at least that's my opinion. Before I leave you with the combos, let me briefly talk about Akira's critical art, and her critical art is decently fast. This is 5-frame startup, I believe. It moves around like half screen distance, but the strength of it is how easy it is to combo into it, right? You do the Tatsu's kick, and then you do it, you Rarimon, and then you get to land it, a fireball, and then you get to land it. It's a very easy critical art to combo into. Does good amount of damage and looks super cool. I honestly love this animation. Doesn't give you like Oki that much. You dash here, you are at a +2 advantage but far away from a throw situation, but at least you get to continue with your pressure, right? At least you are in a +2 situation, and it is fairly easy to combo into like regardless, so that is pretty nice. That's pretty good, right? And I don't think Akira in general is very reliant on EX bar, like outside of the EX Tatsu, and maybe EX Urarimon. If you really want to push them to the corner, you're gonna have super decently often, I will say, so that will allow you to use it a lot, and it does good damage even from simple combos. So it is a decent super all around, right? Now there are other things that I wanted to talk about briefly. That is her throw. Her forward throw is I wish her throw range was a little bit longer. Her throw range isn't great, but it's okay. The forward throw gives you nothing mid screen, and the back throw as well. You don't get any sort of throw pressure anywhere, right? You can't really dash up and continue with your pressure afterwards, so that is kind of an issue. Both of them leave you at a fairly far distance, then you have to make your way in, so throwing them mid-screen isn't great. In the corner, it also does leave you at a little bit of a distance here at plus 12. I mean, you can kinda walk forward and throw them again, but some characters are left closer than that. I think there is a little bit too much distance here that makes this easier to react to than some of the other characters. And that is pretty much it for Akira. Honestly, she is a pretty fun character, a little bit technical because you have to watch whether the opponent is standing or crouching. The V skill 2 combos will take a lot of time to practice to finally get the hang of, but once you do, this character is very fun. And now I will be leaving you to the combos. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment, it helps the channel so much. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon page and the Discord server page in the description below. Thank you very much for watching and stay safe.